Chapter 24 of Ruth Fielding at the War Front. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Ruth Fielding at the War Front by Alice B. Emerson. Captain von Brenner's sister. The Major turned immediately to Ruth, drawing his brother forward. Mademoiselle Ruth Fielding, à l'air. The Count Marchand, he whispered formally. You understand from my message by Bulbul, à l'air, for what reason the lady has taken this arduous journey, do you not? But yes, rejoined his brother. Bulbul safely arrived. I have not yet sent him back. But Tom, Lieutenant Cameron, what of him? Ruth asked anxiously. Have no present fear, Fraulein, said the Count in German. He has not yet been allowed to return to his rooms at the hotel in Meuse. That is all. He is a prisoner at the house up yonder, yes? The Major asked with a shrug. Not a prisoner, a guest, replied the Count. General Stolz is still friendly. The Hauptmann von Brenner, and he smiled, is teaching the general some American card game, I believe. The whole staff is card crazy. They have little else to do but play. And what plans have you already made for Fräulein Ruth? Queried Major Marchand. While she remains under this roof, she will pass as Frau Kraus's niece. But in the morning she will be furnished an outfit I have secured, and she shall enter Meuse as a very different person. Oh dear, murmured Ruth, another disguise? You could scarcely continue in your present dress and escape discovery by daylight, the Count said dryly. This fact was, of course, patent. Ruth was only too glad that the voluminous cloak covered her completely. The Count led her up 2 flights of stairs to a tiny, neat chamber under the roof. It was evidently a domestic's bedroom. Put the uniform outside the door, Fraulein, when you remove it. It must be hidden, whispered the Count. You will find night apparel on the chair. The good Frau Kraus has thought of everything. This indeed seemed to be the fact when Ruth awoke from her sound sleep at mid-forenoon. She might not have aroused then had there not been an insistent tapping on the door. Ja, herein? Exclaimed Ruth, not too sleepy to remember her German. A broad face surmounted by a cap, then the woman, quite a motherly-looking person, appeared. I am to help the Fraulein dress, announced Frau Kraus, smiling. If you will be so kind, the girl agreed. What she had not noticed when she went to bed was an open trunk heaped with clothing, both for under and outer wear. The rich and stuffy gown was typically German, and so was the plumed hat. Ruth was sitting with her hat on, in the little dining room of the cottage over her pot of substitute coffee, rye bread, and schmierkäse, when a private and almost noiseless autocar rolled up to the door. She went out and entered it quite alone, and they were out of the Marchand estate by a rear exit and on the highway to Meuse before Ruth discovered that the captain goggled chauffeur was none other than Count Hilaire Marchand himself. In a stretch of the road where there was no traffic and few houses in sight, he half turned in his seat and told Ruth in brisk, illuminating sentences what she was to do. It sounded easy, providing she aroused no suspicion in the breasts of those whom she met. The supposed character of Captain von Brenner's sister would enable her to treat everybody in a distant and haughty manner. But be careful of your German, Fraulein, urged the Count. Make no error in your speech. Deny yourself to everybody until your brother appears. After your first outburst of anger and alarm, when you arrive at the hotel, retire to the rooms he engaged for you, and refuse to discuss the matter with anybody. It is, as you Americans say, one grand game of bluff. It can be carried through by no other means. Remember what I have told you to tell your brother. Tonight at 9, or tomorrow night at 9, I will be in waiting with the car. This is absolutely all my brother and I can do for you. In a few minutes the car rolled into the principal street of Meuse, just beyond the great glass-roofed building, wherein, in happier times, the visitors went daily to drink the medicated waters, was the hotel. A rheumatic old woman with a sash, who acted as carriage opener, with a young boy for porter, met Captain von Brenner's sister. In the hall the corpulent host bowed before her. "Captain von Brenner?" queried Ruth. "I'm his sister." Mine host paled. His eyes grew round with wonder. "What is the matter with you?" asked the girl impatiently. "Are you dumb?" "He is not here, mein Fraulein," chattered the man. "Send for him, then, and show me to the suite he engaged for me." "Fraulein, pardon," gasped the innkeeper. "We did not understand, that is, we thought he would not return." "What?" "And that the gnädige Fraulein would not come." "Idiot!" exclaimed Ruth, revealing an excellent semblance of rage. "You have relent my rooms." "But you may occupy the Herr Hauptmann's," burst out the browbeaten innkeeper. "And where is Captain von Brenner?" It all came out at one gush of chattering information. The captain had been sent for by the Herr General Stutz. He had already been away 3 days. It was whispered he was arrested. After her first show of annoyance, Ruth seemed to recover her self-possession. She listened more quietly to the explanation of the excited hotel man. Then she demanded to be shown to her brother's rooms. There she sat down and wrote quite a long letter to Tom Cameron in the character of his sister, Mina von Brenner. She was sure Tom would recognize her handwriting and understand at once that she was at Mers in an attempt to aid him. "Fear not for me, brother," she wrote in conclusion, "but hasten to assure your Mina that you are perfectly safe. Is it not possible for you to return to the hotel by dinner time? I am distraught for your safety." She sent this letter, with gold, by the hotel keeper, who said he could find a messenger to go to the Marchand estate. Ruth knew, of course, that her letter would be read there before it was given to Tom. Even if they questioned him about his sister before giving him the letter, Tom would make no mistake. Mina von Brenner was already a character and name chosen by Count Hilaire and Tom when the latter took up his difficult and dangerous work in the guise of an Uhlan captain. That was one of the longest days Ruth Fielding had ever spent. As the hours dragged by, she sat and pondered in the rooms Tom had occupied, one moment in despair of his coming, the next fearing that every step in the corridor outside her door was that of a guard come to arrest her. Yet her own safety scarcely mattered. She felt that if she could not compass Tom's escape, she did not care to go back across the lines, were that even possible. Ruth Fielding learned much about her own heart during that long wait, much that she would not have acknowledged to any other soul in the world. It finally grew dark. She would allow the servant to light but a single candle. This stood upon her desk, beside which she sat with her forehead resting in her hand, her elbow on the table. Suddenly there sounded a quick step in the corridor. Ruth had been mistaken so many times that she did not raise her head or look up. A rap on the door, and before she could say "Herein," the knob turned. A figure dashed in, a brave figure in a uniform somewhat similar to the one Ruth herself had worn the night before. "Mina!" cried a welcome and familiar voice. "My dear sister!" Tom rushed across the room. Ruth saw, as she rose, that there were 2 officers with him, but they remained outside. They saw Tom take her in his arms in a most affectionate and brotherly manner. Then they closed the door, evidently satisfied. "No need of tearing my hair down and breaking my ribs, Tom," Ruth whispered. "Please remember that I am not Helen, after all." "No," he returned softly. Then, holding her off to look more closely at her, he went on more lightly. "You are Mina von Brenner. Great heavens, my dear, how did you get here?" End of chapter 24.